What's good, guys? We're gonna let's casually play Uniracers. This is kind of one of the better racing games for the Super Nintendo. I mean, if you're tired of like Super Mario Kart and F-Zero, I would definitely recommend this. I mean, maybe not wholesomely just because it's a pretty tough as nails game, but I would definitely say it's pretty much in probably the top 5 or top 10 if you're feeling rotten about how this game kind of, maybe not so much rotten, but if you're feeling kind of more harsh, it's top 10 racing games for the Super Nintendo. But you know, honestly, it doesn't have the spark of Super Mario Kart, and it doesn't have like the exhilarating kind of energy of F-Zero, but it is a decent little game. It really is only held back by the fact that it's just way too tough. Because there are like 9 cups in this, or 8 or 9. There's a lot of stuff to do, lots of courses, probably at least 30 of them, something like that. They jam-pack this with stuff. And there's moves. It's kind of like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater meets like Super Mario Kart in a lot of ways. Is because you do tricks and it helps you get more points. It gets you more speed to get ahead of some of these opponents. Like right now I'm losing, but you know, you're just basically expected to know how to do this. But I will probably do this on like a lesser difficulty, but yeah, what I'm basically trying to say is there are some races here that you do have to, in order to get to like the final racer, which is the Anti-Uni, which is a pretty cool, you know, final boss for the entire game, which I'm probably not going to get to. I estimate pretty much entirely that I'm not going to get to the Anti-Uni, but you know, there's a lot of stuff, like I don't even beat one of these racers in this, so this is just mostly showing off the stages, and I'll show off every stage that I can before you have to win in order to get to them. It's because I feel like this is a decent game. I mean, it's clever enough. This was kind of produced by Nintendo and then like some sub-developer, but Nintendo published it, so it kind of had their official stamp in some ways. It's what they were up to around this time besides like Donkey Kong Country. So if you wonder like, well, what was Nintendo doing around this time, this is kind of what it was. But like I said, to me this is just a decent rental. It's just something to kind of screw around in, not really take too much seriously. I mean, if you actually happen to be somebody who knows how to play this game, I would definitely say the quality of this game ramps up a lot more, but it's just the learning curve is way too steep. That's really the problem, is it just has far too many nuances to really try to perfect here. But it is nifty. I mean, I'll give it the originality for what it is, and the music is, you know, you would think the music is decent, but so I just see it as like a decent little game, pretty much like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10 if it were more accessible. I just don't know why they belted on the difficulty the way that they did. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of other stuff that's been kind of going on. Yeah, it's been pretty mellow. I mean, I actually played through this like a couple weeks ago, so this is something that I was meaning to upload probably around like June 5th or June 10th, something like that, somewhere in that department, but I kind of got around to it now. But I will try to belt some of these out and kind of get that going. I mean, I'll at least try to do these, like I said, until like we'll at least get these 6 cups taken care of. But the last 2, if you have to win in order to unlock, it's just like, you know. Now, I do actually have a game genie if I felt absolutely necessary. I mean, if there's like some sort of code that I can punch in to get the other 2 cups, I'll do it. Despite the fact that I may not be able to beat them, you could at least see all the courses just to really see this game in the what for. Because this was Tony Hawk before Tony Hawk. I definitely feel like this was clever enough just to be able to say, like, doing tricks on like extreme sports, because you know this is a unicycle, so it's not really a skateboard or something like that, but it still has decent like extreme sports tactics if you're doing tricks the whole way through. So, but this actually, you know, I'll go ahead and, I mean, most people don't know an overabundance about this game. It's a very scant amount of details. It's a one-shot game. No, hardly anyone talks about it. I haven't found very many good Let's Plays of this. But Nintendo did get sued by Disney over this game because Disney had like a animated cartoon of some sort about unicycles, so they thought that that was kind of jacking them from this, which, I looked it up on Wikipedia, and the developers of this game said that you would think that there wouldn't be a copyright just because something is about unicycles. I think they just have the copyright to unicycles in general, which is true. I mean, just because there's two different candid series that has to do with unicycles doesn't mean Disney owns the rights to just unicycles in general. But that was how it was back in 1994, and as a result, we never got anything else with this series. So there was never like a unicycle or Uniracers for the Nintendo 64 or anything afterward, and it just basically went on to Vaporware and Slagland, But this relatively kind of happens to be the remark. It's just trying to say how some of that stuff actively kind of works. There's just how many other situations about this. These racers really know how to kick my ass in this sort of stuff. They're just doing tricks all the time. I mean, I don't know how they expect you. This is like the third race in the game, or the fourth. And, these racers are like miles ahead. They're not making mistakes. They're not getting stuck in the taffy that you just saw back there. So this is kind of, it's a decent game, but they really should have known that was something about like 90s and 80s video games. They just did not care. They expected you to rise to the occasion in so many means in terms of what naturally kind of went on to happen. But someone named a character Wee Wee. I wonder if that was actually programmed in game, or if it was the person who owned the cartridge before I did. So and I will admit that we are playing this on silver, which is the second toughest difficulty setting. Obviously, gold is the most, but I probably should. I'll probably tone it down next time. That's another thing. Those kind of crystal clear blocks, they will send you backwards if you do a trick on them. I don't know how you're supposed to, but. Yeah, I do kind of feel like they should have tried to bring this series back. I mean, Nintendo is a billion-dollar company at this stage, so even if Disney were to sue them, I would have to say, like, you would definitely kind of think that they could have had something to say, hey, this is a good franchise, this made us money. But the whole thing about it, when Disney won the lawsuit, they made Nintendo quit marketing copies of this game. So I actually have one of the copies of the game before it got stopped, and I that's another reason why not so many people talk about it, because there are only so many copies manufactured. That's kind of the thing, is just to say, hey, if you actually have a copy of Uniracers, I mean, in some cases that's a valuable thing, but in other cases it's not, just because most, I would have to guess most people who I see interact with this game would probably play it for maybe like the first 15 minutes or 8 minutes and then say I'm done with it. And that's just kind of the way it is. This seems like a game that you would see at like a Blockbuster Video and like the default Nintendo that they have set up in the store, and you play for like 5 minutes and then get bored before you, without even having to spend the $5 to rent it, But no, I mean, I like this game, but it's way too, it's too hardcore, Yeah. I was curious about some of this stuff, but there will be more episodes of this. There's definitely going to be. I'm just trying to figure out what to do. So basically lost all 5 races, whoop-de-doo. We'll just talk about it like that. I could have had it on bronze, maybe that would have helped, but who knows. So yeah, that's kind of the concept here, folks. Subscribe for more fun. Have a wonderful night, and thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in part 2 eventually of this.